Hi, and welcome back to Studio of Art by Wendy. Today I want to share with you some things I've learned about light and shadow that I think are kind of neat. I'm sure we all recognize this picture here. This is something we all know about shadows. The full light, we have our nice highlight spot there, and there's the half light. Here's our light source. We have, I think this is neat, this is called the terminator. This is where the shadow, the core shadow, meets the light side, just on that edge. And then we have reflected light, and then we go into the darkest part of the shadow area, and now we have the cast shadow. Now, I realize that you know about those kind of things, but what I want to talk about today is the reflected light and the power that it has on our work and the drawing that we do. So reflected light is not this light here. This is our main light source. But don't forget, there is light everywhere around, and this light is bouncing down onto the surface, bouncing up, or just plain landing on both our core subject and our shadow, our cast shadow. And that is the light that I think we can harness more in our drawing and use it to create a path for the eye to follow. So I want you to notice a few things. First of all, this crevice here. And I kind of think of that crevice is right in this area here. And what happens is that is our darkest spot. So when I'm looking at any subject that I'm drawing, I look to see where is the crevice, because I know that in these little crevices here, we're going to have super darks. But then as soon as we start to come out of the crevice, just like if you were coming out of a cave, it starts to get lighter and lighter until you actually step out. And that's what happens on any of these little crevices that you have in your drawing. So as you come out, the cast shadow is going to get lighter and lighter as the effects of the reflected light hit it. And of course the edges will get softer too, again, from that softening effect of the reflected light. And that's going to happen here as well. Now that all seems great when you look at the picture, but now what I want you to do is to try this little exercise, because I found it was really helpful in getting me to understand what reflected light was and to pay attention to my shadows more. So let's have a bit of fun. And here is our fun. I thought this was kind of neat. Kind of looks like my dog Max. Anyway, so I have this little picture, and you're welcome to download it. There is a reference to it below my video, and it shows you how you can download this little picture. So the first job you're going to do is, it doesn't have any decoration on the parcels. And so I'm going to quickly do that right now, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I've put some wrapping paper on my box, and you can do whatever design you like. I would say for this exercise, what you should have is a kneaded eraser, and I like to use a 2B, because then I can get quite a few different values with it. So now, first of all, think about your light source. If the light is coming from this direction, that means our shadows are all going to be going this way. And what will happen is you will lead your eye out of the page because your shadows will go this way. And so right away, you'll look at the picture, follow the shadows, and be gone. However, if the light source comes this way, now you've got this happening, the light's coming through here. So this is going to act as a bit of a stopper and keep the eye within the diagram. So put your light source in. And now there's no reference here in terms of how to color this, because I want you to think about that apple and all the different colors, and let's put some of those shadows in. So for example, starting with our little box up here, if the light is coming this way, that means the front of this box and the front of this box are in a shadow. However, this box is closer, so this shadow will be darker, and this shadow will be a little lighter. So I'm going to make this one a little bit darker. So I'll just quickly do some of this. And then at the same time, I'm going to be thinking about reflected light. And this is where I think, to me, I found this the most interesting. This means that if the light is coming this way, the main light source, the other light will be around this. So therefore, the darkest place on this strip will be at the bottom, closest to the floor, because that is the area that will get the least reflected light. Any light that's going to land here is going to bounce up. So there's going to be this little bit of a darkness there. The other thing that you're going to have happening, if you think about the floor itself, is there's going to be some light reflected off of this dark part of this ribbon. And so I deliberately made the ribbon a dark band around it for that reason, to show that. So now when I do the floor, I'm going to leave that little bit of white there because there's going to be that white. Do you see how that begins to look like it should be there? That little bit of white there? Because that light is going to be reflected there. Now, another thing that I'm looking at as I do the floor, and notice I'm doing the local color for the floor right now. I haven't put the shadow in very much. When I look at this light source is coming this way. So my shadow is going to be in this area, like this. And this, of course, again, we have reflected light coming in this way. So this corner of the shadow is not going to be as dark as this corner over here, which has got all of the other box and things shadowing it. Plus this light, when it's on, is going to affect it. So right in here is going to be the darkest area, and then it's going to get lighter. And that's going to happen all the way along when I look at this box. And then, of course, don't forget, this light is on. So it's got a color on it. It's a colored light. Pencil's a little funny. So therefore, I'm going to have, and this is why I suggested do it with a pencil and a putty eraser, because it's easier to make this change, and you can get this kind of light effect of the light shining on that shadow that's being formed. Of course, this box will continue here. I'm not going to do every little inch here for you because I want you to try different areas. So this would be, now this part of the box is actually the furthest away from our light source, so it's going to be darker than the front. So I have to make this a little bit darker, not a lot, but it needs to be darker. And maybe I got this a little bit too dark in here, so I'll just take some of that off. And so when we think about this box, the farthest, this will be the darkest corner, because this is the darkest part away from our light source. And this is going to be a little darker down here than it is up here. So this, I'm hoping that what you'll find is this will make you kind of think about each little shape and how it's formed and how the light's going to be hitting it. I would do the same for this box here. And then, of course, the really fun part will be to do our little guy up here. So let's just, when I think about him, the light is coming this way. So this is going to be dark. This side of his ear is going to be dark. But also this is going to be dark as well, because this side is the side of his face away from the light source. So who's darker? Which ear? Are they going to be the same? Well, no, this ear will actually be the darkest, and probably for a bigger area. Where here we're going to maybe have a touch of dark, because this side, again, is closer to the light, going to get the reflection. Thinking about what's going to happen up in here. So you're going to have lots of little things happening with this. And again, you have to think about this little dog as his ear goes up this way, comes down, the face goes up, then we've got his nose, and then it goes down, and then back up again for the other ear and down. So getting those lights and darks can be fun. Now I have been working on this, and actually I've done several of these because each time I do it, notice other little things. And you can see here, this little dark is going to be darker here, but this is going to be the darker spot. When I look at here, I'm leaving some light on this side, but this side here is going to be in the shadow. So even though it's lighter than this side, it's still going to be fairly dark. And I want that shadow to have a soft edge to show that it's a rounded object. Little things like getting the darks in here around this ribbon to show that the ribbon is up and away from the box. The fact that his nose comes out, and so this side of his nose is going to, this side of the nose is going to be more shadowed than this side. The light is going to hit it. What's going to happen inside the box? Notice that this side would be darker than that side. And we have the darkest spot would be here and here, although this dark, again, gets more light than this side. And you can see working with the local color, I've got light parts here. This is lighter here. This bigger box is lighter than this one. Look at the light of the lights on the floor and things like that. And you notice how that really brings this to light? And you get a lot of depth in the box. Here's another little guy I did. I had different wrapping paper, kind of did different things. But even here, I can see now, this was the first one. And see, I put the shadows this way, but in actual fact, the shadows should have more of an angle to them. So, as I say, each time I do it, I find something new that I didn't notice before. So have some fun with this. As again, you're welcome to download the picture and try your own little puppy dog. He reminds me of my puppy Max. And anyway, have some fun and Merry Christmas. Wendy teaches outdoor sketching classes in the summer, and she teaches in her studio and online throughout the year. Wendy produces original work in pencil and in watercolor. She completes commission work, particularly pet portraits, and produces cards and prints from some of her work.